New satellite images reportedly show more deployments of Russian troops and armored equipment just a few miles from its border with Ukraine. These images captured yesterday show a change in pattern from previous observations. U.S. intelligence officials say Russian forces have been ordered to proceed with an invasion. We turn now to retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Peter Zwack. He served as the U.S. Defense Attaché to Russia from 2012 to 2014. He's also the author of the book Swimming the Volga, a U.S. Army officer's experiences in pre-Putin Russia. General, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
So let me ask you first, just to give us a macro view of what is happening and as you see it. I mean, what is your understanding of where we are? Because part of the confusion, I think, for a lot of folks here, in other words, Americans who are watching this play out across the media, is every day for the last 3 weeks or so, the administration has been telling the American people that Russia is preparing to invade. Some days we hear it's happening today. Sometimes we hear it's happening in a couple of hours. And I wonder what the point of that is if every day we don't see it happening. Do you believe, even if our intelligence points to the fact that Putin has given the green light to his commanders on the ground to begin the invasion, that Russia will actually invade?
Thank you. That's the paramount question for that. The capabilities are all there. The Russian force presence and posture is taut and ready, and they are maneuvering and they're training. But they have big issues to consider of the type that you reported before. Do they actually go in? Ukraine is big. They're going to have a resistance, and the whole world will be screaming at them, certainly in the West. So they have that. Here are three things that are important to remember. The Beijing Olympics just ended. That might have been a governor, if you will, on a Russian offensive. Two, Belarus, the exercise ended, and the Russians with Belarus have decided to stay on in Belarus. That threatens Ukraine's northern flank. And then also, I think that's very important that mud, something they call general mud, the Rasputitsa, when the roads end, comes in March. The roads become a mess. You can't go off track with anything. So that's all driving a Russian timeline. The big question out there is this a extreme case of poker, doubling down on this threat, coercion, listen to us, Ukraine bend to our will, NATO back off. I think that's all of it. It's almost as if with Vladimir Putin, there's almost a malicious pleasure in how he's been able to push the narrative, get everybody on edge, force negotiations. But in the end, this is incredibly dangerous because beyond Ukraine, in the big picture, we're all really, really well armed, and this thing could spin out of control. So right now, I don't know. Everything is in place, and the orders have been given ostensibly, but they haven't launched. But time is not on their side.
So speaking of the narrative, just last week we heard Russia say, oh, we've pulled back some troops. And then the U.S. intelligence said, that's not the case. That's not what we're seeing. And then, as you point out, these maneuvers in Belarus were supposed to wrap up, and they've decided to keep the troops in place. My question to you is, all the time entertaining diplomacy, right? Vladimir Putin is meeting with world leaders, maybe even the president. What is the messaging that Vladimir Putin is trying to send out? The threat of invasion aside, what's the message he's sending the world?
I'm of the mind, and I will mention that personally, on a personal level, I appreciate the Russian people and their culture. What I believe the regime is doing right now is over the top and incredibly wrong and dangerous. They do have a message based on the historical narrative, threats from the West. It's a different West. It is not one that there's no sense of invasion, no even real capability, and the Russians have been playing that narrative really hard. So the negotiations, I'm of the mind that we negotiate. but we always negotiate from a position of strength. And in doing so, without embroiling ourselves in a land war ourselves in Ukraine, we do everything with our allies to back them up. And this is now more than just about Ukraine. This is really about what the whole post-Cold War, post-World War II order is going to look like in the next generation for our children and grandchildren.
So, General, our Nicole Killian reported that there are some members of Congress, Republicans, who believe that President Biden should have or should implement sanctions now, before Russia takes any action. Given your experience on the ground in that part of the world, what do you make of that strategy from a tactical perspective? Maybe a political one to attack the president if you're a Republican, because that's what you're supposed to do if you're a member of the opposition. But I want to know from you tactically if you think putting those crushing sanctions into place now before Putin has done anything would either serve as a pretext for him to go to war, to launch the invasion, or would actually have the desired effect, which is to pull him back from the brink.
No, Vlad, thank you for the question. No, I'm against it. They're out there. There are, if you will, economic sword of Damocles. No, do not give the Russians any additional pretext to launch. That's like waving a red Toreador's flag in front of them. They then play the grievance narrative, and it gives them another reason to attack.
Really interesting, because we've been sort of debating what is the best tactic, and I find that a fascinating answer. Peter Zwack, thank you so much.
Take care. Let's all be safe.
Indeed.